Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kisha. I blog over at kjaggers.com. That link is below, as well as all the other links to my social media. I would love it if you followed along on Instagram and on Facebook, and maybe we could get to know each other a little better. So it is a cold, gloomy day here. It's rainy. It's kind of dark in the apartment. I'm over by a window, so maybe you guys can see me a little bit better. I'm obviously cold, and I have some delicious hot tea. This is actually a glass or a cup that Brittany got me in Washington, and then on the back it says, "I heart my mom." And I'm drinking the Twinings Earl Grey Lavender, and I shared this on my most recent favorites because it's such a good tea. It is a black tea. There is caffeine in it, but it tastes amazing, and I thought it was perfect for this gloomy, gloomy day. So I am back today sharing just a chatty video about depression, divorce, grief. So many of you guys in my last Q&A had questions about, all of that. And I thought they were more serious and maybe we should address them just in, their own video. I plan on doing another question and answer video really soon. Answering the rest of the questions and any more that I find on Instagram, Facebook, on this video. So feel free, if you have any questions, leave them below. Some of them will get their own time, but I'll do my best to put a bunch in one video for you guys really soon. So, I don't know how helpful this will be in terms of tips. I'm just going to do my best to explain what I went through and how I got through it and where I'm at now, and that's in terms of everything. So I have made some depression videos about how to snap out of the winter blues and about, different things and different vlogs about how I have suffered from depression. And many of you guys have said since splitting up with Scott and all of that I have not seemed, quote, depressed like you guys would have kind of expected. And you're wondering how I got through that. And if I'm still suffering from depression. And then once my late husband died, how did I deal with the grief? And, there's so much. So I have been somebody who has dealt with depression most of my life. But as I've gotten older, it's gotten less. I figured out, different ways to cope, and I figured out at times what medications would help me. I'm not on any medications now, and I haven't been for a very long time. But really what has kept me from just like wallowing in the bed and just being a mess is my children. So for me, the kids, even though maybe I don't see them every single day, or they're busy and have things going on, or I'm living in a different state with one of the children and my first ex-husband is living in a different state, like all of that is okay, but it still really helped me because those children still needed me, even if it was from afar or near. I needed to get out of the bed. I had to do stuff for them, and any thoughts of suicide or any problems like that simply went away as they got just a little bit older. Because, we lost a lot of family in 1 year. We lost, I think, 6 people in 1 year between Scott's side of the family and my side of the family. And I was super depressed then, really, really, really bad. And had a lot of bad thoughts, but I did get on some medication during that time, and I think that's the last time I've been on medication, and I came off of it, at a certain point as well. But as I've gotten older, it's gotten better. So I haven't had a lot of the depression symptoms. I did have some when I was, obviously married to Scott, and I feel blessed that I don't feel so heavy anymore. And my first marriage ended in divorce rather quickly. And he has been In terms of ex-husbands, a pretty good one. He's been easy to work with. He hasn't brought strange women around my children. He has done a good job parenting the kids. Sometimes he does things to aggravate me or say something to the kids I don't agree with. But overall, he has done really well. The divorce with him was super hard. The kids were involved, and it just, when he wanted to fix it, I didn't. And when I wanted to fix it, he didn't. And it was hard. But he has always been the kind of person that wanted me to be a better person, a better parent, stronger and more independent. And he's always pushed me in that direction. And he's been really easy to work with. But the first few years was rather difficult. And I think if you're experiencing a divorce or you're just starting a separation, I think you take it day by day and you do your best to try not to insult the other person, which I've been guilty of a million times. In no shape, fashion, or form have I been perfect in any of my relationships or, with Art or Scott. But I think you just do the best you can, and you try to put your kids in a really good spot where they can see you guys both getting along. We were always able to do birthday parties and all of that. We were just able to come together, really, if it was just for a couple hours for our children, and I appreciate him for that. But I got through it, and I got through it with the help of Ryan and my mom and my grandma Mary and my grandfather, and I started working for I had not worked with Art or Scott really, but I started working for an attorney, and I moved into a high-rise, a couple of them actually. I moved out of a smaller one into a larger one in Louisville, Kentucky, and I didn't have, my vehicle had broke down, and it was very convenient because I could walk to my job. I lived in downtown. So that's another thing. If you're going to be without a vehicle, try to center yourself where you can get to what you need and understand it's not forever. It never was forever for me. But it was okay. I really didn't mind it. Everything I needed was in a certain radius. The grocery store, the post office, my job, restaurants. My apartment had a little grocery store in the bottom. It had everything, and that really, really helped. It just helped. If you leave without taking your stuff, getting furniture from friends, family, thrift stores, now Facebook, there's so many different places you can get furniture to set up a new home that sometimes you have to take advantage of that. And you have to find stuff that will work for your home and work for your family. I mean, really, not everyone has 2 couches to split up if you're splitting up. Not everyone has, duplicates of everything. So don't be scared to ask. Don't be scared, because it is a process, and it's a process of setting up 2 houses off of one usually. So, it's definitely, something you need to consider, and I didn't really consider it well any of the times. A lot of my issue has been just leaving. It's painful for me. I don't want to see the stuff that reminds me of, this person or that memory that hurt me. And I just don't want to see it. But I'm doing better with that. I'm just somebody who holds on to memories through items sometimes. And sometimes those memories are too painful. So I have love stuff. But I wouldn't advise it, especially if you have children. They still need their stuff. They still need beds and all that kind of stuff. And so if you can take some of it, if possible, definitely do that. Working really helped me in both situations with my ex-husband Art and with Scott. When I split up with them, I did what I needed to do, and I went back to work. And it was freeing. I worked for an attorney, 2 attorneys actually, for a while in Louisville, Kentucky, and then after Scott left, I started waiting tables. And, I know it's not a career, but I enjoy it. And it's got me around people. And I used to be withdrawn. It seems like sometimes in relationships, I become withdrawn if I'm home a lot. And I'm kind of out and about, and I'm not shy as much anymore. And I talk to a lot of people, and working has helped. So obviously, if, you're going to be on your own, most likely you're going to have to work. And I know so many of you do already, but it really does help. It keeps you focused on something else, and that always helped me as well. With Scott, I didn't know I was divorced, or wasn't divorced, and I guess Scott knew. I mean, he had to sign the papers, and he never did. And so, some people think there was a reason behind that. I think he was busy doing himself, and probably just never got to it. But that hurt a lot more than my first husband. And so the pain was incredible. I really never imagined the events that happening whenever we lived, in the Carolinas. I expected us to be together forever. I know there was a lot of dark stuff and a lot of bad stuff, and I was trying my best to cope and still love every single person in my family and try to somehow keep the family together. And I think no matter how hard I held on, it was always going to break apart, because Scott was always going to pass away at this age, at this time. That's my beliefs. And the more I held on to it, the tighter I held on to it, the harder it was to let it go, and the more it just imploded. Ryan and I were together before Scott, and we didn't have the healthiest of relationships, but we've always loved each other. We've always cared about each other, and he helped me a lot. He really did. He was inspiring and motivating and loving. But he had other things that he had to take care of in his life. He had a daughter that he wanted to be, more involved with, and he felt just to make sure she was safe, he needed to be there more. And I actually knew that and kind of respected it. And we just were just not fitting well towards the end. And I went on and ended up actually dating Scott. And Scott was really good to me for so many years. He was. I mean, he had issues, and I overlooked many of those, and he overlooked many of mine. And, no matter what you read on gossip sites, or no matter what his sister spews, the truth is I know he loved me. I know I loved him. I know he was my husband. And there's nothing she can do to change it. Nothing. And I coped with that divorce or that separation, because we were never divorced, in the most horrific kinds of ways. It was very painful, and instead of allowing myself to really go off the deep end, which I felt like I was going to do, I got immediately into therapy. Scott wanted to go to therapy, and I didn't think it would do any good, because our issues were our issues. Unless he was going to change some of his and I was going to change some of mine, and therapy wouldn't matter. But he really wanted to go, and one of the things he said to me was, go to therapy and at least one time and meet her, and we'll work on our marriage. Well, I did that. When I went in and spoke with her, she said that statement from him alone was controlling and manipulative. So that kind of spun my head a little bit. And I stayed in our house, as long as I could. I really was hoping he would come home and make everything right, and we would fix our problems, and we would have our family. And that just did not happen. And one of my biggest regrets in terms of the house was not taking more of the items that, we worked together to have, and just letting them be destroyed, stolen, left. That kind of bothered me, and it still does. But the therapist that I went to the first time is the therapist who basically got me through the divorce. She's very helpful. She's very inspiring. I also went to a therapist at Graceland Baptist Church because she helped me stay closer to God during, very difficult times. And, I didn't cope the best in terms of video. I probably said too much. It was not lies, none of it, not one word. And everything is still true, but what good did it do? He's not here. And I have tried to learn the lesson to not video when I'm upset. So, I realize that obviously a divorce or a separation is not a walk in the park, even if you don't have children together. And we had children, but none of them were ours. One was mine, two was mine, one was his, two was his, Laura included. And breaking our family up hurt me. And I didn't make the best decisions, and I don't think anybody who is in the beginning of a separation does. But again, I got my head together and asked family for help and found a place to live. It was temporary. It was less than 6 months. And it was healing, actually, in the camper. It was humbling, of course, but it was still a safe place for me to be. And I was grateful I could be there. And I'm still grateful to my cousin and her husband for the love and support they showed me. Many of you are going to ask about finances. And finances was something I was never good at. I'm terrible at math. And what I ended up doing was learning to balance my money better. Learning that every penny counted, and I still get stuff I want, like my Midori stuff and planners and stuff, but I still have to watch my money very carefully. And now there's no one else to point the finger at. If I screw up my finances, it's on me. It's not on Scott or Art or Ryan or anybody else. It's on me. So I would say, definitely get your head around your money and figure out where it's coming in, what's going out, how much you have left over to spend, what is in your budget. For me and Laura, because she was actually separated at the time as well, what we did was apply to apartments based on our incomes, and our incomes were pretty low, to be honest, and something that was affordable and that we could do with our children. And I got into one sooner than she did. She's currently divorced, but also in an apartment based on her income. And for anyone who is separating and taking a dive in money, a dive in your income, might be something to consider. It's not the projects or anything like that. It's relatively a nice apartment. I wish it was a little bigger and had an extra bathroom. And really, I wish it was a house. But this has been a stepping stone for me. And it's helped me. And I'm not embarrassed by it. Not even a little bit. When your husband, who makes over $120,000 a year, and you split up and you go down to basically zero, there is no need to lie about your income on these applications. There is no need, because you are starting off again. You are getting back on your feet. If you work the entire time of your marriage and you still have a drastic income cut like that, sometimes it's okay to take help from what the community has to offer. And I feel blessed, and I feel like this is a stepping stone and not a place I'm going to be at forever. But I still feel blessed, and it took doing the homework of finding the apartments and finding the ones that would be suitable to where I am and where I need to be, like, work-wise and all of that. Always staying close to your job, always, is something I believe in doing. I don't think I would ever drive in 30, 40 minutes to work. Never. It's just not what I do. But taking assistance when and where you can, when needed, is, something I would recommend as well. Sometimes you just have to do it. But I recommend working, first and getting out and about with people again. If you're new to working or going back into the workforce, it's just a good way to obviously make money, but it's a good way to build up your confidence and get to know people better and put yourself out there a little bit more in your community. I think that's very, very important. I mean, it's a lot of hours on your feet serving, and at the Waffle House, it was really busy, and it's hard. There's no doubt. And I was cooking, so, it was hard. And even where I'm working at now, it's a lot of hours on my feet, but interacting with the people really helped. Another thing that has meant a lot to me is surrounding myself with people and friends that I trust, that mean a lot to me. All of us need those certain girlfriends or guy friends that you can call up in the middle of the night crying and upset, and then at other times calling, needing, their opinions and their research, their love, their rides, their whatever. It's important to surround yourself with people that you love. When I was divorcing Art, I had my mom and I had Ryan and my core friends that really helped me during that time. But as I got older and many years passed and I split up with Scott, my core friends in a lot of ways stayed the same. I had always talked to Russell, not like in a sexual kind of way or in a loving kind of way. It's just a way about our child and checking on each other and, periodically through the years. And when I got back home, he was somebody that I depended on in a lot of ways, and we did a lot of hiking, and we were really just good friends, and he's still a friend, and I still wish him well. And to some it looked bad, him being around, and a lot of the time I spent with him was super sad. A lot of the times I was upset and angry and crying, and I didn't want to lose my family. I certainly didn't want to move out of the house that I had just set up and actually loved. And he was just somebody I cared about. So he actually helped me a lot, because I don't know what I would have done with all that time, as well as my cousins and people at work. Just surrounding yourself with people who care and people who understand and people who are going to be there for you makes the world a difference. It really does. In terms of grief with Scott, I still go through that every day. I regret so many things, and I wish he was here so I could talk to him. In ways I feel guilty about being with Ryan, trying to be happy, but it is different. Like, in my marriage, there was so much heaviness on me. It felt like I couldn't breathe a lot of the time. I didn't agree with a lot of things that was going on, but I didn't always feel like my voice was heard. I had a jealousy problem a lot of times. I didn't trust. I felt like, honestly, and this is no put down to Scott. It will sound like one, but whatever. I was married to him for 13 years. I can say what I want, I feel like. But I felt like he broke the trust so much at a certain point that I was never going to get it back. And I felt like it was just gone. And yes, maybe we could have stayed together with no trust. I was up for it. I was willing to try it. But I didn't trust him, and I just felt so heavy. And I think that came across. I haven't watched any of the old videos yet, like of Scott and me, or the anniversary tag that keeps popping up as a recommendation. I'm not ready to do that. But again, you know, it was a darker time. And even when I first split up with Scott, it was certainly a dark energy kind of situation. It was not nice. I definitely lacked poise, that's for sure. But as I continued to work and find some place to live and actually started a new but old relationship back up and really put my heart into that and meant, you know, taking my time, being careful. And I want to say something before we go any further. Many of you guys have pointed out that my current boyfriend, Ryan, is married, and he is. He has been legally separated for quite a while, and for personal reasons and financial reasons, he did not want to file for divorce. But he is filing for divorce. We are currently doing that. And, you know, I would never stay with somebody long-term who is married. I'm not good at sharing, first and foremost, and I don't really want that. And we have things going on in our life right now that we want to get everything like cleaned up and in a good place for. So, you know, he will be going through a divorce as well. And, you know, I think all these things apply, but they've been split up for such a long time. I'm not sure it will make, you know, that kind of difference. But when you lose somebody you love, it's never easy. Never. No matter if it's through divorce or separation or death, it is never easy. And how you choose to deal with that says a lot about you. Obviously, I was so angry, and the way I was responding was just anger and hurt when I was being so negative or mean. And that wasn't healthy, and that's not how I plan on acting in future relationships. And when I got out of that relationship, it felt like I lost 1,000 pounds. But I still missed my husband and my family. So it's very contradicting, but I feel better and I feel lighter, and I don't want anybody thinking for a second that, you know, I'm just putting on a show for you guys, or I'm just pretending to be happier. I'm not happier every day, but overall I'm definitely, God, is happier the right word? I'm definitely more at peace. I have God in my life really strong, and I feel like even if you're not a religious person, try praying and try doing some spiritual homework. It helped me a little bit. Maybe I can talk about it in a different video. You can't go back and change time. You just can't. And sometimes the hurt is too great. Sometimes there's no going back, and you have to accept it. And you have to try to remember that there is always a bigger picture. And we might not understand what that bigger picture is, but maybe one day we will. And you never know what direction your life is going to take. I wish I would have been better prepared with life insurance, with health insurance, with savings, with definitely finances all the way around. I wish I was better with those in my relationships, so I could have been better when they ended or when Scott passed away. You know, it's just something that you have to feel the pain of. And when I say that, I don't mean just wallow in bed. I mean, feel it and release it. Let it go. There's no sense in holding on to any of the negative stuff. I don't think God would want us to hold on to it. I know our family and our friends wouldn't, and our children certainly wouldn't. So if you're going through a separation, or somebody you love has just passed away, or you're going through a divorce, just remember, that you will be okay, that there are people out there who will love and support you, that everything is a stepping stone to get to the next spot, and all you can do is your best. And I think the more you stay focused on those things, the easier it will be. And I'm not saying that when an ex brings over his new love for picking up the kids, or with him for picking up the kids, or vice versa, that's going to be easy, because it's not. It's just simply not. But you control you, and it's important to remain calm and respectful. And even if you slip up and you say something bad, or you text something bad, or you email something bad, just remember that tomorrow is a new day, and you try to do better. And, when you can, apologize and mean it. Always try to put your children first, which I always have felt like Art and I have done. People have not agreed with our conventional parenting, but we haven't cared one bit. We do what's best for our children. And to be honest, my oldest daughter has went through a divorce, and she is at the stepping stone periods too. She is in her apartment, she is working, she is facing the challenges of everyday life and kids, and I think it's freeing to her too in a lot of ways. And that doesn't mean going to another relationship. And probably I went into another relationship a little too soon, but having Ryan with me just felt so natural and so right. And, sure, I was lonely. I'm not going to deny that. I just felt good about being with him. And I felt like he knows me probably better than anybody, like relationship-wise. He knows me really well. And I felt like it was where I was supposed to be. And I did keep him away from the children, and that's a whole other subject. But I don't think you should introduce, the people that you're dating to your children right off the bat. No. But slowly he has incorporated himself into the kids' world and my family and Laura's, and he's just integrated really well with my family, including my mom, which means a lot to me as well. So, you have to remember that the future is bright. No matter how dark that particular day is, there's still so much to look forward to, and you can get through it. And, by the grace of God, I've gotten through losing someone not once but twice, because, him moving out and then him passing away was just a lot to bear. And, our families weren't in a good spot. I don't think anybody was treating anybody with kindness and respect. I don't think it, some of the bad stuff, I guess, that I said about Scott doesn't really even matter, or the things that I said he did, which I believe he did, even matters at this point. I mean, he's gone. And so I've lost him twice, and it was extremely painful. And I just had to face the fact that life was changing, and I could either change with it, or I could just die. And I have children to live for. I have family that I love, and I just had to pull it together. And I'm still in the stepping stones. I'm just figuring things out as I go, and I am happier. I am, as I've said, lighter. I am more content. I feel like I have everything I need and then some. I feel blessed. And that might be a strange feeling, but I feel blessed in love. I feel blessed with the place to have. I feel blessed with the kids. And in regards to Zane, I would love to see Zane and talk to him. But I feel like he's went through a lot with his father. He's probably trying to get adjusted with Trina. And it's just not my place to interfere in any of that. So when he's older, if he wants to find me, I'm pretty easy to track down. I'm sure he can track me down. But I do miss him, and, you know, losing the stepchildren in a relationship is really hard sometimes. It broke my heart. Same goes with the pets. You know, I have been incredibly hurt by losing the animals, and it's something else to consider whenever you are splitting up, and really consider it. Don't just consider, I can't take him now, what am I going to do? Sometimes it's best just to find a place to take him temporarily so you can have them whenever you are ready. Like, I probably would have done anything to have Cooper. I really would have. And I wish I would have done that different. Hindsight is 20/20, and you learn as you go. Just have faith in yourself, have faith in God's plan, and realize that everything happens for a reason, and you will be okay. So that is my thoughts on divorce and grief. I'm sure I didn't go into a lot of things that I probably should have, but, you know, it is never easy, and it's heartbreaking, and there's so many moments. Scott's birthday is like in 5 days. 5 or 6 days. It's 5, I think, depending on the date. What's the date today? It's 5 days. His birthday is in 5 days. He would have been 48 years old. And even for all the bad that I believe about Scott, he had so many good qualities about him as well. And I will forever miss him. My relationship with Art is minimal, but I appreciate him, and I got through that divorce okay. And now I feel like I'm in a healthier relationship. I feel like there is trust, and I feel like there is love and compassion and kindness, and I'm just moving forward with each day. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any additional questions for the question and answer video that's coming up in a couple weeks, where I'm just answering random questions, leave those below. Any thoughts you had on this video, or any tips regarding divorce or grief, feel free to leave below too, because other people read them. I'm not the best at commenting back right now. I'm short on time a lot. But definitely leave them below so everyone else can read them as well. Thanks again, you guys. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.